unapologetic, unadulterated, absolutely positively beyond the shadow of all human comprehension, uncompromising. But that's what you can do when you are the truth. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the superfortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And I'm here tonight because this is what I do. I've got with me right now Mona Lachey on the line. Welcome back to the Black Channel, Mona.
Thank you so much.
And I've had a few things on my mind in the interim, but in particular, I did put up an article today, and I'm going to be reviewing that article in just a few moments, because it's everything that I've been saying and everything I've been talking about, and you've had a bunch of people telling you that it doesn't matter. They're telling you that we don't know what we're talking about. They're telling you that these things are not really happening, particularly younger people who are more cowardly because they were raised by more cowardly parents. And so they're desiring for somebody, anybody, to just lie to them. So that's what they're doing now. Can somebody please lie to me? Lie to us. Tell us that we can be just as much a cowards as you were, and that everything is going to be just fine. Can someone do that? And don't you be deceived. Your friends want you to be afraid, because they're afraid because that's the way that their parents raised them. They raised them to be afraid of the future and to be afraid of reality, and they've got you afraid too. Only now they've tried to tell you that being afraid is popular. That's what they're trying to tell you. My broadcast is the only one of its kind that does what it does, because everybody else is out there consciously trying to lie to you. They don't want you to grow up. Like Peter Pan, they want you to remain infantilized. They want you to remain children. Laugh it up, yuck it up. Let's talk about entertainment. Let us not talk about the serious, dire consequences in front of you. That's why this is so hard for people to swallow. My broadcast would have been a lot bigger, a lot quicker if I was the easy to swallow place. I've never been. I broadcast on days when people want to be watching football and basketball and baseball. That's why. Because I am insane enough to demand that adults should be behaving like adults. That's the problem. That's where it goes wrong for so many of them. They're desperate that they don't want to grow up, and they don't want you growing up either. Well, I'm going to do my part. Maybe you'll do yours. It's Tuesday evening. Perhaps you can let your friends know that you found the haven of intelligent black thought, and maybe a couple of them will actually be ready to grow up too as well. I saw an article. Actually, I'd seen a few of them. And there were people talking about this issue, but they haven't been talking about it in the right way. They haven't seen what the problem really is. That's the difficulty, is they haven't seen what the problem truly is. I'm the only person who is zeroed in on what the problem truly is. I'm telling you that the winds of change are here. I'm telling you that the winds of change are here, and if you're in denial of it, it's going to be a hell of a problem. I'm going to go over a story here that should be making your blood run cold. And if it doesn't, then that just shows how much of a fool you are. This is the adult conversation broadcast, not the kiddie conversation broadcast. I also put up the link. It's a story from the Daily Beast, March 13th of this year. I'm sorry, March 31st of this year. Asians versus affirmative action. That's the title of it. Asians versus affirmative action. Because you don't actually understand what's going on. And the prophets have been speaking for decades. I've been banging it out from this microphone for half of a decade. And the people listen for a few minutes and then want to run off in the other direction. They don't like this. They want to know when we're going to get back to something a lot more entertaining. That title should be frightening everyone. Very difficult to get black people to matriculate and to be attracted to something adult, but that title should be scaring everybody. I'm going to read the story for you now. Now remember, this was just 8 days ago. Just 8 days ago. The story is about events in California. It's from Lloyd Green of U.S. News. Asians versus affirmative action. Merit should trump minority, according to Asian Americans who continue to fight against race-based entitlements in the U.S. Nearly 18 years ago, 61% of California's Asian American electorate opposed California's Proposition 209, a statewide referendum which barred race and ethnicity as considerations in state university admissions, government jobs, and contracts. 18 years ago, 61% of California's Asians were opposed to eliminating affirmative action. Notwithstanding their opposition, Proposition 209 became law. Fast forward to March 2014, when California's Asian American community helped blunt an effort in the state legislature to gut the affirmative action ban. This recent pushback by California's Asian American community is a reminder that upward mobility attained can reshape attitudes, and that the interests of the so-called coalition of the ascendant are not monolithic. Now, that phrase that he used there, coalition of the ascendant, in other words, that there can be a coalition of minorities. That as the white population is decreasing and your minority populations are increasing, that there will be a coalition of the minorities. 18 years ago, Asians were against removing affirmative action. Now in California, they are for it. In just 18 years. Didn't take 1,000, didn't take 500, didn't take a century, didn't take a civil rights march. This was happening right in front of you, and now here it is. 18 years ago, they were on your team. Today, they are on the side of the dominant culture. Today, they're on the side of the dominant society. Where are all the folk who are telling you about their Latina and Asian lovers and how we're going to create a coalition of the non-white people? Tell me where they are today, as the numbers clearly show where the Asians are going. Can somebody get one of those people on the line tonight so that we can talk with them? I'd like to find out what the hell happened to the Black Asian Coalition. Where is it? What happened to it? Get one of those people on the phone tonight. I will talk to them so that they can explain to all of us what happened to this Black Asian coalition we were going to have that they promised us was going to occur. No. They didn't promise us it was going to occur. They promised us it was already here. Remember that? They promised us that this Black Asian coalition was already here and that we just needed to accept it and move on. Kumbaya, hand in hand. Remember that? Yeah, the coalition is already here, and the rest of you just need to get with the program because the coalition is already here. Remember that? The story goes on to say, to be sure, emergent Asian American opposition towards ethnic-based affirmative action is grounded in personal experience and is a long time coming. Already, back in 2005, a Princeton University study reported Asian Americans, as opposed to whites, drew the short straw when it came to racial preferences. In other words, it's the Asians realized that under affirmative action, they were actually behind white people in receiving preferences. According to the study, if race-conscious admissions were ended, quote, Asian students would fill nearly 4 out of every 5 places in the admitted class not taken by African American and Hispanic students. Asian students would fill nearly 4 out of every 5 places in the admitted classes not taken by African American and Hispanic students. Not surprisingly then, Asian American dissatisfaction with affirmative action has grown over time. In 2011, in a brief filed in the U.S. Supreme Court challenging affirmative action at the University of Texas. Is this damn thing on? 2011, 3 years ago, at the University of Texas, the Asian American Legal Foundation attacked Texas's program as, quote, odious, and posited that perhaps Texas, quote, believes that Hispanics are somehow more valuable than Asians in promoting cross-racial understanding, breaking down racial stereotypes, and enabling students to, quote, better understand persons of different races. Yes, the AALF was not the only Asian American voice on the issue, but it was a clear signal as to where the Asian American community was trending. Texas, not California, not Seattle, not New York, not Florida, Texas. Texas. But you don't want to hear that. You want somebody to entertain you. You don't want to hear that in Houston. You don't want to hear that in Dallas, in Galveston. You don't want to hear that in Austin, in San Antonio. You don't want to hear that. The story continues, and then there are the differences in ethnic experience and realities. According to Pew Research, a majority of third-generation Asian Americans hold college degrees and have a median household income of over $91,000. Dr. Claude Anderson has been telling you this now for decades. But there are black people who scoff and mock black empowerment. I say black first and they mock us. I talk about building and they mock us proudly. They proudly mock us. They proudly make fun of black people who talk about economics and empowerment. They mock us openly. That's right, and a bunch of you listening, you were cheering them on and clapping. Hee hee hee, ha ha ha, that's so funny. Black first, building. That's right, that was you. You were doing that. You were mocking it. Where's your laughter now? Why don't you come on out and read this story and then laugh some more? All the other brain-dead dolts and sycophants who sat there laughing and mocking with you, where are they laughing now? They were mocking me. But they weren't just mocking me, they were mocking Claude Anderson. They were mocking Marcus Garvey, even if they didn't know who Marcus Garvey was. They were mocking black empowerment. They were mocking Malcolm X. They were mocking all the black people who have tried to lead us in the right direction. They were mocking them. And a bunch of people, you were laughing and clapping. That's funny. That's what Negroes do when you mock black people empowered. That's what black people do, is they mock it. They find a chimp somewhere who's going to swing together the symbols and crash them together so you can mock. Because that's what black people do when you attack black empowerment. Every other group comes to arms when you attack their empowerment. With black people, we try to find some street corner laughing stock. We'd rather focus on that instead. A Pew Research poll says a majority of third-generation Asian Americans hold college degrees and have a median household income of over $91,000. In contrast, third-generation median Hispanic household income has stalled at under $44,000, with fewer than 1 in 5 third-generation Latinos holding a college degree. So, most third-generation Asian Americans have a college degree. Less than 20% of third-generation Latinos have a college degree. And their income is less than half what Asians have. The latest figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics tell a similar story, with Asian American unemployment below the national average. Amy Chua's battle hymn of the Tiger Mom may be over the top, but it's not fiction. That's what the story says. That's his words, not mine. Amy Chua's battle hymn of the Tiger Mom may be over the top, but it's not fiction. Indeed, it is not just Asian Americans who have grown skeptical of affirmative action. Rather, it is America as well. According to a 2013 Gallup survey, 2/3 of Americans, including nearly 3/5 of Hispanics, for the people out there who identify themselves as Hispanic and want to tell you that they're Hispanic, well, nearly 3/5 of Hispanics agreed that applicants should be admitted solely on the basis of merit, even if that results in few minority students being admitted. The prophecies have come to pass, and now you're about to get frickin' clobbered by them. But you don't have to worry about that, because you've got your little distractions and your little puppets to sit there and keep you entertained. That's right. You've got your little Negro trinkets to keep you entertained. You've got your court jesters and your class clowns to keep you occupied. Because that's what black people do when you discuss power. They want to be entertained. We black people, and particularly black men, are offended at somebody demanding that they grow up and be adults. That offends us. All right, sit there and be children. Just remember, there's not a child on earth who does not get lorded over. But you just go ahead and sit there and do that then. In a sense, the latest kerfuffle over race-based entitlements is reminiscent of the 1960s and 1970s, when the Democratic Party's core was at war with itself, and Jewish and African Americans scuffled over university admissions quotas as well as in teaching assignments in New York City public schools. Unlike California, it was physical, ugly, and acrid back then. Still, if history is a guide, the Republican Party can only expect a limited upside. For all of the heat generated by skirmishes past, both Jews and African Americans retained their fealty to the Democratic Party. The neoconservative movement emerged from these clashes, and in 1980, Ronald Reagan captured nearly 2/5 of the Jewish vote. But Reagan versus Carter was the high point of American Jews' flirtation with the GOP. And after that, things essentially returned to the way they were. To put things in perspective, Barack Obama carried 93% of African Americans, 73% of Asian Americans, 71% of Latinos, and 69% of Jews. The past has not been lost on the Asian American community. According to Neil Malhotra, a Stanford University Business School professor, a Stanford University Business School professor, who has written on why Asian Americans have switched their allegiance to the Democratic Party, despite the differences I would call Jews a racial group, there are definitely some parallels. I'm sorry, despite the differences, I wouldn't call Jews a racial group. There are definitely some parallels. Malhotra continued, Jews' attachment to the Democratic Party stretched back to the New Deal, and they've been politically socialized across multiple generations in the U.S. Asians are unique, given that many of them are new Americans, and the switch to the Democratic Party has been more dramatic and quick. As for why the quick switch by Asian Americans, identity issues, whether they be racial, religious, etc., is a major explanation, as the Republican Party has become more white and Christian very quickly over time. Still, affirmative action remains a potentially potent issue, albeit a limited one, Malhotra explains. Unlike immigration, affirmative action is sort of a niche issue that's very important to select groups, parents of high-achieving college students and college students themselves. However, he adds, the GOP runs the risk of further alienating Hispanics at the risk of gaining Asians, which is why this is a wedge issue they haven't really touched much since the 1990s, where it clearly worked in their favor. In 2012, if 2012 is any indication, don't bet on the Republican Party going first. This thing's kind of messed up here. If 2012 is any indication, don't bet on the Republican Party going there. First, it is immigration, not affirmative action, that's captured the GOP's attention. For all of Mitt Romney's support of self-deportation, Romney actually backed affirmative action. Presented with an opportunity to voice opposition to government-sanctioned racial preferences during the run-up to the Michigan and Ohio primaries, Romney balked. Second, as Malhotra described, opposition to affirmative action resonates with the identifiably upwardly mobile, and that is not where the Republicans' white working class base is today. As Ross Douthat, I guess that's how you say it, trenchantly writes, some of the most religious areas of the country, the Bible Belt, the Deep South, struggle mightily with poverty, poor health, political corruption, and social disarray. Immigration and competition for jobs come first there. College, if only. And as far as the GOP donor class goes, can you say legacies? After all is said and done, the squabble over affirmative action will most likely remain a low-key Democratic Party family feud, with the courts being called in from time to time to referee. Now, I'm going to go a little bit farther than Mr. Green does. I'm going to go a little bit farther, and I'm going to say that it's going to be more than just that. There's more than just that. You are not going to see a situation. The way that this is going to turn out is that dollars are going to dictate everything, as I have always told you. Dollars are going to dictate everything. Asian Americans are going to identify as Asian, but they're going to vote like white people. And even if they join the Democratic Party, let me tell you something, folks. I live in Louisiana, where you still got people who call themselves Democrats, but here's the problem. They voted for segregation. They voted for backing racist police departments. They call themselves Democrats, but they vote just like Republicans. So it doesn't matter if you vote for white supremacy on the left or white supremacy on the right. In the end, you end up getting white supremacy. That's what happens. So they may call themselves Asian Americans who vote Democratic. You can put a Democrat president in the White House all you want to. How are they voting at the state level for the issues that affect you in your city? How are they voting at the state level for the issues that affect you in your county? How are they voting at the state level for the issues that affect you in your state? How are they voting there? Because your president can't save you there. And as you saw, even if he is a, quote, black president, he's not going to lift a damn finger for you. He's too busy worrying about empowering the people who are trying to sink you, while you gave him 93% of your support. This is where the landscape is shaping up now. And this is frightening to a lot of people. Absolutely frightening to you, because you don't want to believe that that's the case. You want to believe that this is a game and this is something that we can play about. Is it still a game now? What we have right now is a situation where the white population and the Asian population, surprisingly enough, because they killed that bill that was going to reverse affirmative action, that was going to overturn Prop 209. It got introduced in California this year, and the Asian Americans got together with their lawmakers and killed the bill before it could progress any further. They killed it before it could get any farther. That's what they did. And you've been telling yourself that I don't have to worry. The only people that we have to worry about are the whites. That's what you told yourself. Remember? That's what you were telling me all this time. Remember? You were telling us that there was nothing to it. You were telling me that we were wrong. You were telling me that we didn't know what we were talking about. Mona, do you think we'll be able to get anybody to tell us about the minority coalition tonight?
I don't know, Jason. I don't think so. Well, we may get some people that still believe in this great big melting pot situation.
As I explained on the broadcast we did about the melting pot, that the melting pot is not where you put food in. That's a misnomer that a lot of ignorant people have. The melting pot was not for food. The other name for a melting pot is a smelter. A smelting pot, where you put metals, different precious metals, and you melt them down. That's the melting pot. Is that through this crucible you will be melted down and turned into something else. That's what it does. But we as black people don't know any of those things, and that's what happens now. We tell ourselves that we can play this game where we never have to grow up. How's that working out for you? Now you're going to have Dr. Claude Anderson was warning you. He was warning you that when you were the number 2 minority, when you were the number 2 ethnic group, you had Bull Connor, Jim Crow, lynchings, the voter tests. That was what you had when you were the number 2 ethnic group. Rodney King, Emmett Till, that was what happened to you when you were the number 2 ethnic group. Now you've fallen to number 3. Now, if that's how they treated you at number 2, what the hell do you expect at number 3? And what I'm telling you is that in California, you are not even number 3 anymore. You're number 4. That was why I put up 2 things today. I put up 2 posts today to let you know that in California right now, as of this year, as of the end of March, Latinos are now 39% of the population. %39 of the population. They are the largest ethnic group in California. Oh, but you don't want to hear that. That wasn't what you wanted to hear. You wanted somebody to tell you that we can lie to you. Well, I'm not the guy who lies to you. I'm the guy that tells you the truth. In California now, black people have fallen behind Asians. Asians are 9% of the population of California today. 9%. What about black people? Black people are 7% of California's population today. 7%. Latinos, 39. Asians, 9. Black people, 7%. 7%. But you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that at all. You want somebody to tell you that, well, it's all cool and it's all okay. I don't have to grow up. I don't have to do that. I can keep doing what I'm doing right now. We will just sing along and pretend along, because for black males don't care if they... Can I just be honest for a moment? And Mona, I just want to be honest with you and everybody else about the state of black men, particularly in California. People don't like this. They don't like this at all because I tell the truth about stuff. You don't like it. That's what hurts me with so many people, is that this damn... Who is this guy who keeps telling the truth all the damn time? But Mona, I just want to tell you the truth about black people in California. That black males in California are so desperate to prove to themselves that they can bed Asian women. Doesn't matter who, they're just so desperate because they don't have any economic or social accomplishments. They are so desperate to bed Asian women that they will let them push them out of every school, out of every university, out of every job. You will have a 50% black male in prison rate, and black males will continue to clap and applaud and cheer for it. If they can get their hands on an Asian female and prove that they can get her into bed, they will accept 50% of them being in jail. They will accept it proudly, happily. They will be pleased to accept that. That will be acceptable to them. If that's the cost of getting a non-black female into bed and proving to themselves they can do it, they'll just be totally oblivious to everything else that's going on. And that's just the truth. And I know that's going to upset a lot of people. But what I'm going to tell you is take a look on your streets. You take a look on the street right now and you show me what black men are doing. Show me. You want to make black men mad as hell? You let me put up a video that tells them that they need to be more concerned with empowerment than they are with chasing non-black women, and watch them go nuts. They will tell you that I'm the problem, that I'm the enemy. Negroes who say nothing about police brutality say nothing about gentrification because they don't know anything about it. They're too busy gentrifying their families. All over the place, proudly doing it. They're too busy gentrifying their families. And telling you and me that black empowerment is the problem. So isn't that interesting? White supremacy says that black empowerment is the problem. These black males mock black first. They mock black empowerment. They mock building. So they tell you that black empowerment is the problem. They speak just like white supremacy. And now you've got the Asians chiming in. So first they were bowing to the Caucasians. Now they're bowing to the Asians. I guess it's fitting that that should rhyme. This is what they do. Do they see that out there where you are, Mona? Do they even see just how weak and pathetic they're looking right now?
You know what, Jason? They really don't. But I don't know if you remember when I said on one of your broadcasts that I see anything that is not black, white. And this is showing it right here. Nobody has an alliance with us. Everybody is trying to get theirs, and we are not trying to get anything. It is so prevalent in California to see a black man with an Asian woman, a black man with a white woman, a black man with a Hispanic woman. You can go out, they won't even speak to you. They won't even look at you. They'll look at you like, what are you doing in here? It is so predominantly, I never saw this. I was born and raised in Compton, so we didn't see interracial couples. I didn't see that until I came out here. My father moved to Riverside in 81. And my eyes were just like blown away that all of the black men that were interracially dating, and they don't see a problem with it. And they're not building anything of significance to carry us on, our legacy on. They're not even building anything thinking about carrying a legacy on. It's all individualism. And each and every ethnic race is rising higher and higher and higher. And we're just trying to get along. But they laugh at you and I. People that try to give them this information. And not only you and I, this has been talked about for so long. And we're the crazy ones. And even when it's happening right before their eyes, they still seem to want to be blinded. Because they're lazy and they don't want to do anything about it. And they have reduced themselves to participating in wiping us off the face of the planet. They don't care about their children. They don't care about a legacy. They care about nothing but themselves. Individualism, talking about one another, degrading one another. Because we're dead and we don't have anything, we're empty. So all we could do is fight with one another because we can't fight together for each other.
I want to say now, officially, on the record, that I see what's happening out there. I see what's going on. I've been preaching about it now most of my life on this microphone for half a decade. Dr. Claude Anderson has preached on it. Amos Wilson preached on it. Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. John Henry Clark preached on it. The prophets have spoken for decades now, and the people did not listen. And I want to tell you all that Armageddon is finally here in California. I was the first person to say that California is a lost cause. If you're a black person there, you got to get out. You got to get out. It's over. You don't have a people there. And I want to tell you one last thing. One last thing. As you face the apocalypse in California now, this is good. I want to say that right off the top. This is good. Because you can't keep warning people that if they keep doing what they're doing, there will be dire consequences, and the consequences never happen. You can't do that. If you tell them that there are going to be dire consequences, at some point the consequences have to occur. At some point. And as black people, we have been stubborn, as the Bible calls it, stiff-necked. We have been pretending that this is a game, that this is a joke, that this is something that we can play with. We've been telling ourselves that. And take a look at where it's gotten us. No, it's time for the fire to start raining down now. Because the black people who understand the dire consequences and the dire situation that we're in, it's time. It's time. It's just time now. And black people who are living in denial, it's time for them to go now. It's time. You didn't think that having a black community was important? You were trying to get in bed with everybody you could because your sexuality mattered to you more than economy does? It's time now. It's your time. It's time for you to be dealt with. It's time now. It's time. The people who mock black empowerment, it's time. I want to say right now to everybody who's listening, you need to be letting a friend know that this broadcast is on tonight. You need to be letting a friend know that the ha time for us as black people and black males, it's over now. You need to let your friends know that you are a different person and that you are interested in adult conversation. That's what you need to let them know. That you found the haven of intelligent black thought and you don't have any sympathy any longer for being treated like a child. That's the thing. You need to not do your part. If the hundreds of people listening right now were to tell a couple of friends that, you know what, I'm not going for that child stuff anymore. This is what I'm on now. Black people should be pushing black empowerment like the Jehovah's Witnesses push their stuff. We ought to be pushing it 10 times harder, to be totally honest with you. You ought to be letting everybody you know about this broadcast, especially tonight in particular, because now we've got the numbers to prove everything I've said. It's here now. You want to know why Oscar Grant could be gunned down, video recorded, posted up in front of the whole world, and his killer walk? You want to know how that could happen now? Now you know why. You're 7% of the population of California. Oh yeah, one more statistic. You're 7% of the physical population of California, and you are 0% of the economic power of California. 0. 0. That's why I told you you cannot have a coalition with the Asians. The Asians are at the top of the economic food chain right now. What the hell would they do with you? The only thing that you can do is add power to them. You can vote for issues they care about. They're not going to do anything that empowers you. Why? Because they have power and you are a beggar. And as I told you, they come from countries where you kill the poor. They come from countries where tanks run over the poor. Where they round up the poor in old school buildings. S-21, Pol Pot, brother number 1 and brother number 2. They come from places where you annihilate the poor. And black people, black males in particular, say, well, if I can have sex with her, ain't that good as me and her being equal? You keep telling yourself that then. Because they are now making concrete moves to remove you. Mona, the key passage from that thing that I read was where I told everybody that 4 out of the 5 slots not taken by black people would go to Asians under affirmative action. But do you know what that really means? That means that if you make the education system, the higher education system in California, a complete free market, that the Asians will basically dominate the ranks. They want to open it up and make it a complete free-for-all. And what that means is that if you make it where we go on test scores alone, Hispanics will see their numbers slashed, and black people will simply be unable to get into college except for 1 or 2 of your best and brightest students. You know, the ones who can read and write. Because we don't consider it to be anything noteworthy to teach our children to read and write in black society. The single mother whore slut culture does not believe in teaching their children to read and write. They believe in making whores of their daughters and homo thugs of their sons. Go ahead and tell us that I do me, you do you. Tell me that your tattooing is harmless now. Tell me it's harmless. Tell me that your weed habit is harmless now. Oh, I'm offending people left and right now, ain't I? Tell me how harmless your slutting in the hood and everybody's seeing your daughter naked. Tell me how harmless that is now. They passed her some weed. Next thing you know, all the guys in the room had their turn with her. Tell me how harmless that is. She knows everything about weed, could care less about her sexuality or how she got pregnant or that her children cannot get into college. Tell me how harmless all of that behavior is now. Go ahead and remind me. Remind me real quick how harmless it all is. 7% of the population. 0% of the economic power, and about to be practically 0% of college enrollment in California. Tell me how harmless it all is now. Go ahead. I'm going to open up the phone lines here in just a couple of minutes, so you'll have an opportunity to call and tell us how harmless it is.
And you know what, Jason? What we don't realize is that the Asians have always had a highly visible presence in college. They've had a highly visible presence as far as employment is concerned in your casinos. You know, I went to fill out an application one time for the casino, and there were math problems. I was on page 2. They was on page 6. They have been tearing us up for a very long time and just waiting for their opportunity. And because they have power and wealth behind them, they can get some things done. And again, we don't care. We're laughing at them. They're laughing at us. They have put themselves in the position to be able to demand something and get their demands met. We are still singing, lighting candles, and marching. And we say we are progressing.
The definition of progress for black people is I can buy a more expensive cell phone. That's the definition for black people. If we can buy a newer iPhone, that's progress. If we can buy a car, not buy a car. If we can afford the payments on our car, that's progress to us. If we can afford our car payments. No, we don't want to talk about intelligent adult things among black people. We don't even know how to define it. Forget just not being able to talk about it. We don't even know how to be able to define it. That's why people could sit here and mock what we do so much. Now, I mean, they can sit here and mock me because I speak the English language so well. I want to be on an equal footing. I want to make sure it's a level playing field when I go up against the white supremacist system. But you're going to tell me that not being able to speak the language is a virtue. In other words, being weak is a virtue. When are we going to change that? I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, it's time for you to put your childish things to the side. It's time for you to dump them and toss them to the side. These are childish. It's time for you to get a taste for some adult thinking and some adult discussion and some adult conversation for a change. It's time for you to get a taste for that. Brothers, it's time for you to get a taste for a conversation that has nothing to do with sex and females. It's time for you to start getting not just a taste, but a voracious appetite for it. Because if the only way that I can get you interested in anything is if I pour a few females into the mix, that is pathetic. And it's even more pathetic because white supremacy can give you all the females you want. Hell, black males today don't even have to have a real female. All they need are pictures on Google. Doesn't even have to be a real female. Give them a meme and they're happy. That's right, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out on it. Because your daddy, for those of you who know who your father was, didn't do that. And your mama, when half the neighborhood wasn't sleeping on top of her, didn't do that. And it is time for once in your life to have a man who speaks to you like a man and not a child. That's what it's time for. I'm going to open up a phone lines in a few moments here, and you'll have your opportunity to speak on this. Brothers and sisters, it was prophesied and foretold to you already that you were sitting up here talking about white folks so much, and oh well, if I can get a non-black woman or a non-black man will take me to bed, then I'm okay. And now what you're seeing is that the Asians will... I've always told you all, I've told you forever, that economics is going to determine everything. Economics is going to determine everything. And that power does not respect weakness. I've told you that power does not respect weakness. Power does not gel together based solely on ethnicity. Power does not aggregate solely upon country of origin. Power does not respect weakness. Power only respects power. And that is why white people making racial epithets about Asians doesn't bother them as much as being poor and broke and powerless. I've said this before, that in Japan, in Japanese culture, the greatest insult that you can make to another man is to say he has no power. That's the greatest insult in Japanese culture. Black males are the most powerless males on earth. And yet, you're going to try to preach to me about how much respect you're going to get from Asian women. And yet they come from households where their fathers teach them that the greatest insult that you can give someone is to say that they are powerless, and you are going to tell me that you are going to build a economy and build a community with people who understand how weak and powerless you are. Is that right now? So that's how foolish and silly things are going to get. Who is this guy on here? Why does he keep talking about this black empowerment stuff? Ho hum, that's boring. When are you going to go back to talking about some sex and... Oh, well, I don't ever talk about that. I'm not interested in that then. Turn on the TV, Dancing with the Stars is on. See if we can get somebody to help us laugh through things. See if we can get someone to laugh through this. I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines now. And we're going to see if we can take some phone calls here in a few minutes. The number is 646 787 1933. 646 787 1933 is your personal access code to the Blackest Radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. I did this broadcast tonight because even though it does deal with a entrenched subject, and even though it does deal with something that follows a bunch of numbers, it's time for us to start doing that. As people, we need to start doing that. We need to start telling everybody that we're not going to tolerate childish talk anymore. We're not going to tolerate that. Right now in California, the Latinos are 39% of the population. 39. Asians are 9%. And black people are 7%. That's as of this month, as of April 2014. You're falling like a stone. Falling like a stone, and it's not getting better. That's problematic for you. And you need to understand how problematic that really is, because you are going to try to survive in a new environment like that. And by the way, it's not just California, by the way. Now the problem, this dynamic that you see of this tipping point is spreading over into Arizona and Colorado, Nevada. It's everywhere now. It's spreading over into everything. It's spreading over into everything. And it's time for we as a people to understand that. We as black people have tried to pretend that somehow, some way we can just ignore these things. We don't want to deal with any adult conversation at all. We don't want to see it. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want anybody bringing that up, because we would prefer that people talk about booty models and talk about our dysfunctional relationships. You know what? Your dysfunctional relationship doesn't matter. It does not matter. Because you're not going to have a relationship, functional, dysfunctional, or otherwise, if they price you out of existence. Did you all know that that's what gentrification really is? Gentrification is not simply raising housing values. Gentrification is where they price you out of existence. That's gentrification. That's gentrifying someone, is when you price them clean out of existence. We're going to go ahead and see if we can try opening up the phone lines here. Take a few calls. Caller from 562, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Good afternoon, Mr. Black. This is Nene.
Hello, Nene. I guess number one's not working again.
I guess not. But I will say that's interesting with the numbers. I guess it makes sense considering I'm in California. So what you're saying is true.
Well, I don't know if people are taking that seriously. Black folk are 7% of the population now. Do you know that 7%, that means they're on the way to zero? That's what it means.
Pretty much.
That's what it means. And we're not taking that situation seriously. I guess they're going to wait till we get down to 1%, I guess, and start looking like Idaho.
I guess that explains why things are the way they are out here. When you look at like Compton and LA, I mean, over the past like 10 to 15 years, the dynamics as far as the makeup, it's changed drastically. Compton used to be all black. LA used to be all black. And now, if you go there, it looks completely different. So, based on those numbers, that makes complete sense. And that's scary.
What is the issue, or what is the ability to be able to survive in an environment like that? If people are just determined that they are just not going to take it seriously, what then becomes your ability to survive in an environment like that when people are just deciding that they are just not going to, that they're just not going to, they're just not going to accept the way things are and actually improve their situation? What I don't see how these numbers become. It just makes you wonder that if black people are just brain damaged, dumb, just too weeded out, whatever the case might be, 7% of the population, and we can't get a majority of 7% of the state who's in the worst position and gunned down everywhere. We can't get a majority of 7% of the population to take the situation seriously.
It's sad because we should be able to do that based on those numbers, because those are low numbers. But like you said, yeah, that is part of the problem. Some of our people are drugged out and, I mean, in bad mental states where they don't care. They're more concerned more with materialistic things than they are with their, with the population. It's like I said, it's scary. It's very scary because when you go to certain cities, you're outnumbered, and you're starting to get to the point where you can't even go there because you don't belong there. So I don't know what to. I don't even know what to do as far as like what do you tell people? What do you say? How do you get people to listen?
Absolutely, and that's the problem that we have, is that people do not want to listen about things. Like I say, they're having fun with themselves and saying, okay, we will just play along here, and this is all one big game, and ha ha ha, he. And everybody wants, as black people, it is so ridiculous that we want to laugh it up about these things until somebody pulls a gun on us. Then all of a sudden, we want everybody to just flip and go serious before you. You didn't want to be serious before today. You only want to be serious to bail yourself out. You're supposed to be serious every day so that you don't need a bailout. But black people prefer to act like children. We should have hundreds of thousands of people actually listening to this broadcast instead of just hundreds and thousands now. We should have hundreds of thousands, not hundreds and thousands. That's the problem that we have right now. They don't want to face reality like adults. I'll let you have the last word, sister.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep teaching. And, I mean, the people that need to hear this message, they're listening. And if they're not, I'm sure they're going back to the archives to listen, and they're reaching out and hearing you on Facebook and YouTube, too. So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much for joining us, sister. I'll go ahead and put you back on hold there so you can listen in. And this is the kind of conversation here that when I deal with facts and figures and deal with numbers as a people, you would think that we would be the most concerned people in America about that kind of thing. But this actually turns a lot of people off. This turns a lot of people off because they expect that when somebody is telling them something important, that he should cater to the audience and try to figure out how can he make this more entertaining. I want this to be more entertaining. I don't see where I can get no big booty chicks, and you're not talking about something. This doesn't sound like Lil Wayne to me. That's right. Go ahead and keep demanding that people talk to you about childishness. Keep demanding that. 7% of the population in California, now that you are fourth. You are fourth. You got gunned down when you were number 3 in the population. You got beat the hell out of and gunned down when you were number 2. Now you've fallen to number 4 in California. Go ahead and keep telling yourself that this doesn't matter. Go ahead. Keep that up. Keep telling yourself it's not real. Caller from the 203, you're on live with the Black Channel. Caller from the 203, you're on live with the Black Channel.
How you doing? My name is Nate.
Okay, take your phone off speaker, whoever you are.
sir.
You're going to need to get close to your
Hello.
phone because people are going to need to hear you. If I can't get good volume out of it, though, I'll have to release your call and see if we can have you call back later.
How do I sound now?
Okay, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Nate, I'm calling from the Bronx.
All right, what's on your mind, brother?
I wanted to ask your opinion on what you thought about the three young, very bright young men that were all accepted to all of the Ivy League schools, and what you thought about if this is really what is going on, where our young men have always been this bright, but why the media sensationalism and the fanfare now? Why is this occurring now, and why aren't there any young ladies being highlighted with similar opportunities?
Okay, why are you treating this like this is some big event that needs to be highlighted or that is special or that is even noteworthy? Why are you treating it like that?
I'm not treating it like
yeah,
that.
But what I'm saying is that the fact that you even brought it up, though, is the point. You're obviously singling this out for some type of special recognition.
Well,
so the question becomes, why is this so important to you? Because you first asked, why are they focusing on this with men? Have they always been this smart? And why are they not highlighting this? And they're talking about other things. And why is it the females? Could they be doing the same thing? I mean, what is your point? Let me find out.
Well, my point is basically to say that it compels me to ask these questions because I've always known, and we've always known, that we had smart and bright young people in our communities. And if that's the case, why is this being highlighted in the media now? If that's not the case, then why is this occurring in three different instances now? I'm basically questioning, I have a healthy cynicism of the media, and I'm basically questioning what it is that's going on that maybe we're missing. I know it's not a big deal. I mean, black children of all ethnicities get accepted to these colleges all the time. What I find a little bit strange is these three instances being highlighted in the media now. That's all I'm saying. And
okay, you said that they get accepted all the time.
Well, yeah, I definitely know that there are black children or black young adults that are getting accepted at Ivy League schools all the time.
Okay, why do you think that is?
I don't know. This is a question I'm posing to you if you had any insight.
Okay. Well, first of all, the individual that you are referring to, how many black males are there in the United States?
Black males? I don't have the number for that.
Okay, why don't you go look that up, okay? And then I want you to tell me what percentage is 3 out of 17 million. But we're gonna break our arms, patting ourselves on the back. Let's make sure of something very, very clear here, okay, brother? Let me make something very, 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 very absolutely clear to you before you get tennis elbow patting yourself on the back there. You don't have any black people dominating the scores at these Ivy League universities. Most of these Ivy League universities bring in and accept a few token black folk. Their scores are nothing stellar to write home about, but that's so that you can't say that they don't have any at all. And even for the ones who do have scores good enough to get in, it's not like they do anything stellar after they get there. The only one that we can all really name is Barack Obama, if you want to consider him black. So You
Okay.
can tout that if you'd like to. That's perfectly fine. And I do know about the young woman in Harvard. I get that too. But the problem is we are 40 million people in America, and you could take the black people, you could take the young black people or older black people who have done anything substantial at these Ivy League universities and put them in a van and drive them around Brooklyn.
Okay, Jason, I understand that. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm trying to express to you. I'm not patting myself or black community in the back. I don't see anything outstanding about this. What I'm questioning is the media coverage of these three instances, and it compels me to ask further questions about these three instances being touted in the media.
Well, they're being touted in the media because black people have low self-esteem and are very easily impressed.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the media is showing that to say, look, all black folk ain't stupid. Mm-hmm. That's the point of doing that. What they do is they get black people to sit up here and hurt ourselves, congratulating ourselves of getting a foot in the door. They never sit up here and congratulate us for dominating an industry or for running a company well. Black Enterprise Magazine is the only one that does that. You don't see anybody in the media hurting themselves to talk about Issa Rae and Awkward Black Girl. None of them are doing that. In other words, when we get to a point where we are able to dominate and compete against their children where it matters, not in a schoolhouse, because any schoolhouse, any university, that's just a launching point. But if you fail to launch, then we congratulated you for getting into an Ivy League school. Don't congratulate me for getting into no damn school. All that really means is I passed a test. Congratulate me when I'm getting power, wealth, and influence. Congratulate me when I get there. Instead, we as Negroes are so easily bought. This is why black men today are sitting up here cheering for themselves if they get a letter of intent, if they're able to give a letter of intent to go from high school to a college. That's what they do. Do they pay you to play football in high school? No. Do they pay you to play basketball in high school? No. Do they pay you to play it in college? No. And where do they put the most emphasis on? College and now high school. As black men, once you get in the league, all of a sudden they don't want to talk about your accomplishments there anymore. Because you might start actually getting your dumb ass together and realizing that, you know what, I need to get some of this power, wealth, and influence. That's what happens. And they're doing everything to help us distract ourselves. So they got accepted into an Ivy League university like it's the first time. No, they just want you to keep talking about that. Let's see if we can play this golden oldie. Focus on getting into... These young people are at the beginning of their ability to gain power, wealth, and influence. Why is the media not focusing on black people's lack of power, wealth, and influence? They talk about... The only good news they want to talk about is, see, a couple of you got into Columbia. See?
Exactly. And
a couple of you got into Yale. See, aren't you proud? See, things are turning around. Out of 40 million of you, 3 of you got into one of our universities where we will spend the next 4 years indoctrinating you into one of our drones. See, everything is just fine.
Yeah, and that's the same cynicism I looked at these news reports with. But you know, as a black man, you know, if you don't congratulate out in the open, these instances that, you know, people look at you like, well, you know, using stupid, ignorant words like you're a hater and stuff like that. So, you know, I basically just, you know, I had this hypothesis that, you know, it's the same media crap where they're bringing up a few people who are shining, where, you know, there are multiple examples. I had this on my Facebook thread today, and one of the brothers that commented on it reminded me that Ebony used to run, you know, these kind of articles all the time showing black people and their accomplishments in that same vein. And he was very correct with that. But now it's like the mainstream media is catching on to these things and I don't really trust it. I don't trust their intent behind it. I don't trust their, what they're trying to do with these stories, because it skews the general public's perception of the reality of our people and what's really going on. So that's basically why I wanted to call in to ask what you felt about it.
Well, I think about it is that they are distracting you away from focusing on power, wealth, and influence to get you to talk about social stories like who got accepted into what college. They do not want to discuss what happens when you leave there. They just always talk about the starting point as if that's the goal. That's the beginning. That's not the end point. That's not the finish line. That's the starting line. Why are we talking about that when that's only the starting line? We should be instead talking about gaining power, wealth, and influence. And they don't want to discuss the point at which you gain power, wealth, and influence. Let me know if they come back and talk to those kids in 5 years to ask, to demand, and to find out what power, wealth, and influence they've gained. They're going to talk to the boys and tell them, were you able to get hired at some Washington firm? And they're going to talk to the girls and find out, were you able to become a paralegal at some white law firm? They are not going to demand power, wealth, and influence. They're just going to congratulate you for succeeding at beginning your indoctrination into becoming a cog in our machine. Because the problem is, even if those black children are the best and brightest and smartest at Columbia University, Yale, Harvard, Oxford, Princeton, whatever, even if they were the best and brightest there, they have no black economy in which to contribute their strength. The only thing that they can do is go to work at a white or Asian company. That's all they can really do. So, of course, you'll celebrate it. They're telling you that this is a story about young black people, but what it's really about is, if the title were honest, it would be Welcome Our New Recruits to Empowering White Supremacy for the Next 100 Years, because that's all they can really do. That's all they can really do. I'll let you have the last word.
Exactly. Nothing more to add. Just thank you for taking my call and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much for joining us here. No, we as black people have nothing to celebrate about that. We have nothing to celebrate about that. We kill ourselves talking about how great this stuff is, but in reality, that's the reality of it. What can they actually do? What can they actually do to contribute and to help? What can they do? They don't have a black community from which to draw more people to help them. There is no black agenda. Tell me what the black agenda is. Can somebody call me up at 646-787-1933? And I don't mean sarcastically. I mean, call me up and tell me, no, TBA, you're wrong. There is a black agenda. Somebody call me up and inform me. Tell me, what is the black agenda today? Because I want to know. Mona, what's the black agenda?
Cooning, twerking, sexing, lying.
That doesn't sound like much of an agenda for empowerment. That's what we're excelling at, but that doesn't sound like we're going to become very powerful.
We're not. When you have white people moving back into Compton, all black neighborhood, first of all, the Hispanics are basically taking over Compton, but you have white people moving back. What does that tell you? What do they know that we don't know? And everybody is positioning themselves. Where are we going to go? What's going to happen to us? Do we even care? We are the walking dead. We don't care about each other. So we are going to be wiped off the planet by our own demise. These athletes, these entertainers, these people that we watch on TV, these concerts that we pay our money to, these shoes that we purchase, what have they done for us? Except for say, oh, thank you to my fans, smooches, I love my fans. What do they do for us? Nothing. So what's eventually going to happen is the poor African American people are going to kill off the rich, and then we're going to die. We are so divided religiously in all kind of dimensions. I'm better than you. I'm better than you. My religion is better than yours. My religion is better than yours. I'm flyer than you. I'm richer than you. I have more materialistic things than you. Individualism. We cannot band together for anything. If it is a twerk contest, she twerks better than her. If it is a drinking contest, he drinks better. We can't do anything constructively, progressively, resourcefully together. And we say it's okay. We have no urgency for black power, black first, black family, black empowerment. No urgency for our men to walk around in here with their chest raised high, looking like leaders, and we, as women, proud to be on their arms because we know that we are the baddest people on the planet. And in baddest, I mean best. We are a contender. We are people to be reckoned with. We don't have any kind of inclination for that. We don't. And it's sad. It's pathetic. It's disgraceful to think that our ancestors died so that we can have something better, and we just squander it away. Half of them don't even know what their ancestors did for them. Half of them don't even care because that was 400 years ago. We are so disconnected that we cannot connect. And it is tragic. And I am scared as a black woman because I feel I'm out here by myself because I will get behind a black man, but a black man won't get behind me or my sisters. We're always finding fault in everything.
Would you recognize an attack in the 21st century if it happened to you? Would black people recognize if they were being bombed and attacked today if it happened to them? And I'm telling you that we wouldn't, that we don't. We wouldn't recognize it, and we don't recognize it. I coined a phrase that I've used here on the Black Channel, that they are setting off economic bombs on black people around the country. Economic bombs. In places like California, it'll have a yield of a few dozen people. In places like New York, it'll have yields. Every economic bomb that they set off can have a yield of a few hundred or a few thousand people. And they set off these economic bombs in the black community every day. Just as surely as if Al Qaeda were setting off car bombs, these people are setting off economic bombs every day. When they build a new condominium in Brooklyn and in Harlem, that's an economic bomb. That's an economic bomb with a blast yield that is going to annihilate every black person within 4 or 5 square blocks. When they have an Asian business that opens up, that's real estate that your people cannot build on. They set off an economic bomb that is going to destroy every black person within a square block. You've got all these little economic bombs, all these little irradiated hot zones everywhere that everybody else can go into them except black people. You can't go. You got whole neighborhoods, as Nene said, you can't go in. Hell, in Chicago, you got whole parts of town you can't go in. And now in New York, whole parts of the city you can't go in. Don't even need gates anymore. Don't even need walls anymore. Not those kind of walls. They don't even need them. They don't even need them. We wouldn't recognize an attack on us if they told us. Because that is the 21st century style of annihilation. That is ethnic cleansing 21st century style. They don't have to march in with troops. They don't have to march in with jeeps and armed soldiers. They march in with a sheet of paper, with a slip of paper, and tell you you are now one of the annihilated. Only they don't tell you that you've been annihilated. And now in California, no affirmative action to help you. Now they can go to your schools. Sorry, Shamika, you just became one of the annihilated. You've now been annihilated. That's like taking a grenade and tossing it. Imagine if I took a grenade and tossed it into a classroom, and the only people that the grenade killed were all black children. I mean, if we walk into the classroom today and all the black kids are there, you have a classroom of 30 children, 15 of them are black, and then we come back tomorrow, you got 30 children, but only 2 of them are black. We remove the other 13. A blast yield that was able to take out 13 of your students. That's pretty damn good math if you're on the side that's throwing the grenades. That's a pretty good effect. That's a pretty good result if you're on the side that's throwing the grenades. We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about detritus. People want to talk about their spirituality, Mona. Black people would rather talk about spirituality than talk about economics and empowerment. We want to sit up here and fight with each other over who's got the proper religion. We want to talk about who's got the best religion. Because you got house churches and all that mess in California. Yeah, let's talk about our religion, everybody. Let's talk about who believes what. Nobody believes in empowerment. Nobody believes in the dollar. Nobody believes in controlling their neighborhoods and controlling their community. Nobody wants to discuss that. We want to sit up here and talk about who's super spiritually groovy, who can smoke the most weed, who can drink the most drink. That's what we prefer to talk about. If somebody wants to discuss religion with you, you need to tell them, brother, I agree with whatever religion you want to promote. Now, what are we going to do about this white supremacy out here? And then watch them get quiet. They don't want to do that. They don't want to do that at all. We're going to go ahead and see about returning to the phone lines here. Let me get caller from 910. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello?
Yes, you're on live. Caller from 910. You're on live. Why are you playing on my phone?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
No, sorry, my phone was messing up, but
When you heard unmuted, that was you.
yeah. Hi, I'm a new listener. I've been listening to you for maybe a few weeks now. And I just have a quick question. I mean, maybe it's kind of off topic. I mean, is that okay, first of all, if I ask a question, you know?
Sure.
I mean, it's your show. Okay.
It's not a show. It's not a show, ma'am. I'm a broadcast.
I'm sorry.
If you go flip around a little bit, everybody else who's broadcasting on Blog Talk right now, those are the shows. They're there to entertain you.
Uh-huh.
But what's your question?
Your broadcast. I'm in my early 20s. I do believe in Black First. I mean, I want to. I graduate this year. I do want to have like a Black family. You know, I believe in Black empowerment and everything like that. But it seems like everywhere I turn, like it's like, I mean, it was like the stuff you talk about, like like all I see is like other black females who are in my, socioeconomical group, like they like twerking and like just a bunch of stuff that's not like productive. And then the black men who are worth something, they kind of push me into that group with them as well. And so it's like they're like, well, I want to go to this group, or like go to like there's like Asian women or white women or whoever. And so that kind of leaves me like, like what do I do? I mean, that's not my, only focus in life is to, but I do wish to find a mate one day. And I'm like, now I feel like I'm kind of like, what do I do?
Okay, now, do you see how quickly you fell for that trap?
I'm sorry?
Do you see how quickly you fell for that trap?
Which trap?
All right, that's exactly what I mean. How old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay. Now, you said, are you trying to tell us that you just graduated from college or just graduated from high school?
No. I graduate in May, so next month.
Okay, so
from college.
You're going to be graduating from college. Okay. What kind of degree are you going to have? You don't have to tell me the area, but just what kind of degree are you going to be getting? Associates, bachelor's?
Bachelor's.
Okay. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment, okay? I want you to think about that. I want to give you one more chance here because I don't want anybody to say that I was unfair about it. Don't worry, we're not going to embarrass you. That's not what I'm doing. I'm trying to have a teaching moment here because you're getting ready to go out into the world and somebody needs to sit you down and properly prepare you for it, okay?
Okay.
All right. Now, I want you to explain to me one more time, like you just did. Explain to me exactly, repeat that question that you were asking me one more time.
I guess a better question would be how do I prepare myself to find a proper mate if I want to have children in my, childbearing years, first get married, of course, everything like that,
right,
with a black man.
Exactly. Now, do you see what the problem is there? Now, did you hear the first hour of the broadcast?
I was kind of late, but I did.
Okay.
I did hear.
Now, understand something. What I was talking about before for the men, that goes for the women. I harp on the men most because men are supposed to be leaders. But what I was talking about for the men, that goes for the women also. Black people need to be far, did I say far yet? Far less concerned about finding a mate and need to get far more concerned about getting some power, wealth, and influence. Because black women in particular are very good for wrapping their legs around somebody, anybody. Haven't shown that they're very good for picking a mate who's worth wrapping their legs around for power, wealth, and influence. You get the point now?
I do, but also, I mean, I don't want to be like a 40-year-old woman. Yeah, I hear people say, oh, she was talking about how educated she is, strong black woman, but she's still single. I don't want to be that person either. But I definitely see what you're saying. I don't want to.
I mean, but here's the thing: you're 21 years old, and somehow you're not fixating on power, wealth, and influence. You're fixating on, well, I need to find a mate before I'm 40. Well, how long you got for that? 19 years I have for that. What this tells me is that you're falling for that's what I meant by falling for the trap. You are falling for the same fallacy. Well, I made it to college, therefore I'm a shoo-in for power, wealth, and influence. Let me focus back on me again. It's about me. Who am I going to be marrying? Who am I going to be mating with? Who am I going to be buying this house with? Me, all me. All they did was put you in school for a couple of years and already you're back on you again. Actually, you probably never left it, which is the problem. If you were focusing on power, wealth, and influence, then you wouldn't be sitting here worrying about, can I get a husband at 21 years old? A husband should be the farthest thing from your mind. Children should be the absolute farthest thing from your mind. Do you have any children?
No, I don't. I mean,
Well, I've got a couple of questions here. Were you raised by a single mother? Be honest.
well, my father died when I was younger, so technically yes.
Okay. And do you get my point now? Now, how many siblings do you have?
2.
Okay. How did I know that? You notice I didn't say, do you have siblings? I said, how many? Because the attitudes that you're expressing, that's textbook, telltale, typical of a single mother home with several siblings. That's what a woman by herself usually ends up with. She teaches her daughter to sniff the rose petals, and you need to find a man. She does not teach her daughter to value power, wealth, and influence. So the daughter's ability to even choose a husband now is completely suspect and corrupted. Why? Because you did not teach her what to value first. Oh, she thinks she knows. She thinks she does. But in reality, she does not. And this is how you end up being with a non-black man, because when you finally meet somebody who does put you up on game of power, wealth, and influence, it's not a black person who did it. And since it's the first time you ever tasted it and your mom didn't prepare you for this, you figured that this guy is bringing you something new and special. No, he's not. He's just bringing you something you already should have had, like basic arithmetic. Something you should have already have had, but your mother did not prepare you for it. You need to focus on power, wealth, and influence. And that was what you need to be doing right now. Not focusing on a husband, not even worrying about it. That will take care of itself. If you're not 400 pounds and you're 21 years old, so you need to keep your weight where it needs to be now, because you can have all the power, wealth, and influences you want to. If you're built like Oprah, you'll be as single as Oprah. So just giving you a little bit of a heads up there. If you're built like a safe, that's not very good.
No.
Okay. Because men like computers, we just don't like a woman who's built like one.
Yeah.
So what you need to do here, as anathema as it seems, this is the answer. Don't worry about getting a husband. You're focusing on the wrong thing. That's not what you need to focus on. You need to be asking yourself, since you like I so much, what am I going to do to gain power? What am I going to do to gain wealth? What am I going to do to gain influence for me? Since we want to do that, that's fine, but you need to focus it on the right thing. And then when you're worrying about the right man, but the problem is you have not gained any of the characteristics yet that would even make that man want you. Even if you were 28, 30 years old, he would still drive by you at 100 miles an hour. Because do you have what the kind of man you're looking for would want from you?
I mean, to an extent, I think so.
I want you to think that over for a minute. You're concerned with finding the right mate, but yet you haven't told us what you're going to do to make sure that you are suitable for them.
Well, I don't want to sound, I really don't want to sound stupid or anything, but I mean, I kind of feel like as long as, that person, like me and that person, we mesh, and I mean, I don't have, STDs, baby daddies, like baggage, period, and we both have the same, like, goal in mind, then it should be okay. I mean, I really don't know. Like, when you say power, wealth, and influence, I mean, yeah, I know what you mean, but I kind of don't know what you mean.
Exactly.
I plan on, furthering my education more, getting a decent, well, I'm actually, joining the military, I don't know, but I'm,
joining the military.
Education, getting a decent job, but I don't know.
Okay. What was your name again, young lady?
Michaela.
Hello, Michaela. And what city are you from, Michaela?
I'm in Fayetteville.
Okay. In the Carolinas?
Okay.
I
am.
Now, Michaela, because you're from the South and nobody has explained any of these things to you, it's very good that you found us at the age and at the time that you did, so somebody can actually sit you down and explain to you what your purpose in life is. Right now, today, you are a member of the poorest people on the face of the planet. That's the reason why black women can be raped, robbed, killed, and nobody gives a damn. Because you are a member of the class of people who are at the bottom of the socioeconomic strata. You're at the bottom of the ladder. We are the dirt class. And that's why nobody cares when we die. Nobody cares. The question is, do you want that to continue? Do you want that to be the best that you and those children you're talking about, do you want that to be the best that they can hope for?
Not at all.
Or do you want them to be able to aspire to something better?
Definitely.
So with that being the case, the question then becomes, okay, Michaela says she's on our team. So what is Michaela going to do to help us accomplish that? Okay, let's talk about a couple of things first. First of all, you need to know your purpose for being. If your purpose for being is to, quote, get a good job, which is what you just said a few moments ago, understand, do you know what you really just said? What you really just said by I want to get a good job is I want to be a cog in the machine. The reason that Asians are kicking our asses right now is because they do not aspire to be a cog in the machine. They aspire to run the machine. Because the person who runs the machine gets to divvy up the profits. So they take 3 quarters and 2 dimes off the table and then flick a penny at you and me. So, this 95 cents is for me, and that penny, bling, is for you. Now the question is, do you want to continue being a cog in the machine where somebody else decides what you get, and they will always decide that you should get that penny and not a bit more? Or do you want to run the machine so that you can have something better? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself. In this society, what is the machine? The machine is capitalism. It's not religion. It's not politics. It's not TV. It's capitalism. He who controls the money controls the machine. Now the question is Michaela going to run the machine? Michaela cannot do that if she has a job. Why? Because by definition, a job means that she works for somebody else who controls the capital. But we just explained, controlling the capital means you control the machine. So is Michaela going to control the capital, or is Michaela going to be a cog in the machine of the capital? I'm asking a question.
I mean, of course, I want to control it. You know, but where do I start?
Okay, very good question that you asked right there. Where do I start? Now, you tell me here, Michaela, how much control of the United States military are you going to have if you join the military?
None.
Okay, tell me what military rank that you have to rise to that will give you power, wealth, and influence in the military. Tell me what rank that is.
I'd have to be pretty close to the top.
Okay, tell me who's the person at the top who controls the power and the wealth and the influence in the military.
Commander-in-Chief.
The Commander-in-Chief. Who was that?
Secretary of Defense. Yeah.
Who's the Commander-in-Chief?
The President.
Okay, the president. But wait a minute. That has nothing to do with the military. That's not a position in the military. You don't join the military to be... Michaela, stop for a moment and learn. How do you become commander-in-chief of the military?
I mean, you become the president, but I mean.
Okay, I'm asking a question, Michaela. Now, this is what I mean right here. You got to be a black female because you've already kicked in the stubbornness. You know what the answer to that question is. You already know. You're trying to figure out some way you can save face. Right now, you look hella bad because you know what the answer is and you're trying to get around it because you're trying to save face because you want to save your little feelings. In the adult world, you do not get people's respect by doing what you're doing right now. You get their respect by correcting your mistakes quickly, by admitting that you were wrong quickly so that you can correct course quickly. Somebody who sits there and is determined to be told they're right, that's how you end up with 4 and 5 bastard children by 4 and 5 no goodniks, because you were determined to say that my choices in men were fine, even as the bastard babies piled up. Michaela, how does a person become the commander-in-chief of the United States military?
He would have to be the president.
Okay. How does a person become president of the United States?
He's elected.
Thank you. Michaela, please tell me what military branch that you enter into to be elected president of the United States.
None of them.
Okay. So the person with the power, wealth, and influence over the United States military, please tell me which branch of the service he joined to gain that power, wealth, and influence.
None.
So, if we've just codified that to run the military means that you do not join the military, and Michaela tells me that she wants power, wealth, and influence over the military, why in the world is Michaela joining the military? When we just stated that that's not the way you gain power, wealth, and influence of the military.
Well, I mean, I'm really not trying to save face right now. I'm just really being honest. I mean, my goal isn't to, to run the military. Is to maybe use that as like a.
Did I say run it? Did I say run it? I didn't say run it.
No, you didn't.
I said to gain power, wealth, and influence. I asked you, where do you find power, wealth, and influence in the military? And you just basically answered nowhere. But I want to join, even though we just articulated and just solidified that there is no power, wealth, and influence in the military. You can be a very good cog in their machine, but there is no position to gain power, wealth, and influence. So why are we discussing entering an organization that, by its very makeup and composition, does not give you power, wealth, and influence? Why are we concentrating on that?
I don't know.
And that's my point. Michaela, what people need to do is sit our young people down and get them to understand what they're actually getting into, because they tell you go to college as if that's a magic bullet that makes you rich, and it's not. As if all you have to do is get a degree and there's a great job waiting for you that will take care of all your financial needs, and that's not true. That's not the way it works. It doesn't work that way at all. I will join the military. Why? Because I'm kind of wayward and I don't know what to do with my life. But do you want power, wealth, and influence? Yes, I do. The military will help you waste 5 or 10 years of your life until you figure out you can't get any power, wealth, or influence there. And I'm trying to get you appraised early to understand what you're really discussing going off into, because nobody has explained this to you. Nobody. Because if they had, you wouldn't even be asking. So since nobody did, I'm trying to be the first person who pulls your coat and lets you know, hey, this isn't going to give you, I don't know what you think they're selling, but that's not what you'll be buying. You'll be buying something totally different. All I'm trying to get you to do is understand that if power, wealth, and influence are what you want, you need to first know one fundamental truth. Most of the rules that they taught you that work as a consumer, that work as a worker, do not apply in the world of producers and employers and movers of capital. In the world of students and employees, they tell you that debt is bad. In the world of capitalists and employers, we understand that debt is essential. But we don't call it debt. We call it access to capital. For you, it's debt. For us, It's access to capital.
Mm.
Because we use money to make more money. You use money to pay your bills. Bills that you will have more of next month. So you will have to fundamentally change the way that you look at everything. Your economics, your social structures, everything. Because the rules are different on this side. And if you want to be on this side, you first need to understand, okay, here's how the rules change. For example, when you watch a football game, the rules are different depending on where you are. As quarterback, who do you tackle? Nobody.
Mm.
Not unless you're dumb and want to get hurt. If you throw an interception, then the quarterback can tackle somebody who intercepted the ball, but they usually don't because there's a good chance you're going to get hurt. But technically speaking, unless you throw an interception, you don't tackle anybody. Most of the people on the field will be tackling people, but if you're quarterback, you don't. Oh yeah, one more thing. Who else is on the field? The referees. And if you're the referee, you don't even touch the ball. This is how it is in society. Depending on where you are, the rules change for you. And I want you to understand that before you get this degree. That, by the way, the rules are going to change if you want to be over here. So even in something as simple as deciding to join the military, the question is, what are your motives for wanting to join? I see the military as a stepping stone. Please tell me, what can the military offer you that you can't get on your own out here?
Well, right now I pay for school in pocket. I mean, I pay for my school, insurance, everything like that until I can, at least for, I don't know, I was thinking about doing it for at least a few years, just, for school and everything like that. So, but,
Right, I'm going to join the military to pay off my school debts, which means basically that you've got a bunch of debt and you don't actually know how to pay it off with your degree that you're about to get.
Well, I mean, to be honest, no. I mean, I actually know 3 other people who graduated, 3 years ago, actually, with the same degree I'm in, and, they don't have a job.
Okay, what's your major?
Serving in a restaurant. Sociology.
Okay. Sociology is a worthless degree. Sociology is worthless. Social work is a worthless degree. They've got tons of courses you can take in college. Only a few of them are actually going to increase your income. You took sociology because, like most young black people, you don't do very well at math. And it's the courses that emphasize math where you make the real money. Engineering, computer science, accounting. And you stayed away from that because we don't really emphasize math in the black community. And our children grow up afraid of math and deficient because mama didn't care about counting nothing except how many men laid on her, and dad didn't count nothing except how far and how late he could stay out, and never taught our children to value counting. So they grow up afraid of math. Asians have the highest math scores, and as you heard during the first hour, they also have the most degrees and make the most money off their degrees. Why did you avoid a course that would have actually made you some money, like engineering, accounting, or computer science? Why did you avoid those? Go on and say it.
At the time when at the time when I actually, decided it was because the program was online, and then I did work full time. So, it was a lot to actually get to the campus and everything. That was my initial reason.
If you want to stay in college, change your major now. Change it to one of those 3 I just gave you. You do that, and then you will start getting the results that you were looking for from your degree. Your friends in sociology they're a lost cause. There's nothing they can do except go back to school and get a degree that matters. Liberal arts and the arts and all those other kinds of things, if it's not science and technology, it's worthless. Psychology is a worthless degree. Sociology is a worthless degree. Social work is a worthless degree. It's worthless, but they never tell you that because they put it on the same shelf with all the other degrees. It's worthless. Even if you can go ahead and finish your course, I mean, get your degree, do that. I'm not telling you don't. I'm just telling you understand what you have is worthless. You won't be able to do anything with it except be a social worker, and we all know how high paid they are with government cutting back all over the place. All you can do with that degree that you have right now is keep getting your doctorate so you can be a sociology professor. That's all you can do with it. You can't do anything besides that. You've got a degree that guarantees that you will have a low-paying job. That's even if you do get a job with that degree, you have a degree that guarantees a low-paying job. Go back, change your major after you get this thing, and go get a degree in engineering, accounting, or computer science so that you can actually have a degree that you can use. But you're kind of scared of those, aren't you?
No, I'm really not. I mean, that's why I wanted to actually join so they would pay for it, because paying out of pocket, it is really hard. But definitely.
Okay. If you do that, you'll start getting some of those results that you were looking for earlier with your first degree. But like I say, people heard you were going to college and they did what most people do. You didn't understand the rules change over here. You are in the world of students. That's what you were since you entered school at 5 years old. From kindergarten to college, that's the world of students. That is not the world of capitalism. School was supposed to be preparing you to operate in a capitalistic society. And unfortunately, nobody told you that. By the way, when you get to college, we'll be offering you a bunch of courses, but only a few of them will actually enhance your ability to operate in a capitalistic society. They didn't explain any of that to you. They just put sociology up there along with everything else. That's it. And now you've spent 3 years getting this degree. And now you're finding out that, oh, snap, I can't really do anything with this because I wanted to make some money. Now you're going back to them. They're saying, oh, you wanted to make some money. We didn't know that because we charged you $30,000 to get this degree that will not help you make any. And what I'm telling you is you're still young enough to make a difference. Go make a difference. Don't let this beat you down. You're still young enough to make a difference. Just understand that that dog you got won't hunt. But more than that, sister, you're not going to have a very fulfilling life if you do not learn to value 3 basic questions, and you can write these down if you want to. I say them all the time. The question is not how educated are you. The question is not how many degrees do you have. The question is not how many friends did you make and how popular you are. In this world, what you're going to get, and this is what was spoken to me from the mouth of one of the prophets, Dr. Claude Anderson said this to me, and I will have it in my documentary 7 a.m. He said it to me, and I'm going to say it to you just like he said it. It is what you own and what you control that's going to determine what you get in this world. Let me say that one more time for everybody else because it'll be in the documentary, but I'm going to tell you tonight, this is what the way he said it to me. It is what you own and what you control that is going to determine what you get in this world. It's going to determine if you ever get to eat at that fine restaurant. It's going to determine if you ever get to buy a new car. It determines whether you're actually going to get to buy a car. What you own and what you control. And even if you buy the car, it's going to determine whether or not you can keep it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you own? What do you control? And what are you passing down? That's where your focus like a laser beam needs to be. Because those questions can only be answered with power, wealth, and influence. That's it. Nothing else matters. You're not going to have a family if you don't have any power, wealth, or influence. If you do, your sons will be in jail and your daughters will be sluts, and that's just the way it's going to be. Because you will be too busy trying to provide a roof over their head and failing to be able to be a proper parent to them. That's why most of the people in jail were raised in poor households, because the parents could not keep up with the capitalistic system, and thus they were not able to keep a proper leash on their children to raise them. Now, if you want to be one of them, keep focusing on degrees. You don't want to be one of them, you want something better, start focusing on power, wealth, and influence. And when you get that, then you will be in a position to raise those children, and the husband will find you. You won't have to look for a husband. He will come looking for you, and he'll find you because you will stick out like a flamethrower in a dark warehouse. I mean, a flamethrower that's running. He won't be able to miss you. there will be no way for him to miss you. But you got to put yourself in a position where he recognizes his wife when he sees her. And if she's chasing liberal arts, that's not power, wealth, and influence. Now, I can bring you this far. I can't take you to the next place. The next place is the most critical question you will ever ask yourself in your life. What is your purpose? I can tell you what I hope your purpose is not. I hope your purpose is not to be a cog in the machine. I can't help you with this part. You have to answer that question on your own. What is your purpose? Because answering that question will determine where you go to next. It will determine for you how you're going to find that power, wealth, and influence. It's going to determine how you're going to create it. What are you going to do for this world that's going to create your power, wealth, and influence? And the reason why I say what is your purpose is because most people, as I've explained before, are not like me. You can sit me down with something that I absolutely hate, and I can sit down and learn it and learn to do well at it and make money at it, even though I hate it. Most people cannot do that. Most people can only do that with something that they love. So that's why I'm saying find out what it is that you like doing that will be a benefit and a contribution to society, and that will be your purpose. And that is what will create the power, wealth, and influence. Oprah Winfrey is not rich today because Oprah Winfrey got a talk show deal. Oprah Winfrey is rich today because Oprah Winfrey likes hearing other people whine and pitch and moan about their problems. And she created an outlet and a forum that allows her to sit and listen to people whine about why they screwed up in life. If we can be honest, because that's what she actually does. I know they told you it's a talk show. It's actually a whine fest. But guess what? She liked doing it, and she chased that, and she's very good at it. Now, I'm not telling you to chase a whine fest. What I'm saying is that now you need to find yours, Michaela, because they told you all the wrong things. Power, wealth, and influence does not come from a degree. It does not come from a school. It doesn't even come from a job. Power, wealth, and influence comes from knowing your purpose. And then you will know how to use the school and the job and the income from the education that gave you the job, that gave you the income, in order to create that power, wealth, and influence. Because right now you got the cart in front of the horse. You're saying that you're trying to make the school do something that it does not do. You will be able to put these pieces together, but you have to understand why you're doing it. And was sociology key in that, or did you take a course in sociology because, well, I graduated from high school and mom says I have to do something? We all know the answer. What I'm saying is that you're still young enough to correct this now. You're still young enough to make a difference now, if you'll do it. Go ahead and get your degree. You damn near got it. Go ahead and get your degree. But what I'm saying is that understand that that's not going to take you where you're trying to go. You need to answer for yourself when you get off this phone. What is my purpose? What do I love doing? What is it that is my contribution to the world? What is my purpose? And that is going to create the power, wealth, and influence. Then you can start using your income to fix that. You've done something that's got an echo going on now.
Oh, I'm sorry. You still there?
Yes. You got something playing my voice over there. You need to turn it off. Because it's going to create an echo, which will create an endless loop. I'll let you have the last word.
Well, I appreciate you taking my call, and I'll continue listening, and thanks.
Well, definitely, if you have any more questions, check back in with us. You are at a critical, pivotal point where there's so much about your life and society that needs to be explained to you. And I will just say this quite frankly. It needs to be explained to you so that you can avoid your mother's mistakes. Because you've probably never thought of them as mistakes before. But let me tell you something. Did your mother create a business?
Well, technically, yes. She's, actually quite successful.
Okay.
But
what's her business?
well, just like a side. She has an side online store.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That's stubbornness right there. Yeah. Get your neck to rolling. Get your neck to rolling. You're doing real good. You're doing real good right now.
I mean, but I see what you're saying. So yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to be stubborn again. You're young, but we got to whip that black woman's disease out of you. Because stubbornness is a guaranteed. The only thing that stubbornness gets you is a guaranteed trip to the poorhouse. That's all it does. If your mom had a business, you would have immediately told me yes. You said technically. In other words, the answer is no, but I want to figure out a way that I can say this and be right. So I want to say, Face, let me say this and be right. Even though the answer is no, I'm going to say yes because you're not going to tell me that I'm wrong. I'm going to show you. So that tells me what kind of mother you had, which is why I say, do you want to avoid her mistakes? Because that type of attitude you're displaying right now to such a simple question that we all know the answer to, and you're just going to be contrary because you don't want to feel bad, that's the kind of thing that makes husbands run and cheat and leave. Even with your degree. You have a chance at 21 to avoid her mistakes. Because she's the only one who could have taught you how to do that. Your mother does not have a business. If she did, it would be her sole source of income. Mm-hmm. And she would be making a large income at it. Is that online store your mother's sole source of income?
It's not, no.
Does she make a large income at it?
No, she doesn't.
So in other words, she doesn't have a business. Because you see, remember the 3 questions I said you have to answer. What do you own? Okay. What do you control? What are you passing down? Yikes. Because you see, if this was really a business, she would be grooming you to take it over, and you wouldn't be worried about a degree in sociology and debts, student loans. You wouldn't be worried about that because you'd be too busy getting ready to take over the family business. Mm-hmm. As I said, are you making something better for your children so that they are not faced with this dilemma? That they went to college because they wished to go, not because mom put them in a tough financial spot and said, well, make the best of it you can. That's what you have to answer. So when I say her mistakes, I want you to understand that. I didn't say you have to grab your mom and drag her by the hair out in the middle of the street and kick her ass. I didn't say that. What I am saying is understand mom's made mistakes. And the only way that you're going to fix that is if you learn to avoid those mistakes. But first, it starts with you understanding what the mistakes were. She failed to solidify her financial position. She got with a man who did not solidify his. They both had children, and now everybody is just sitting here wobbly and wobbly and shaky as hell, and unstable as you can be. With a daughter who is smart enough to do anything she wants to do, conceivably, and talking about going off to join the United States military so she can get shipped off to Iraq and get her damn head blown off. One of our best and brightest sent off to the front lines, telling herself that won't happen. Go ahead and tell yourself that that won't happen. You think the recruiters are going to tell you that that's what's going to happen to you? Of course not. But you're making yourself a candidate for that because at this point you don't see any other way. That's what raising your children in a financially strapped situation does. The Asian kids are in college getting $90,000 a year. Michaela is trying to figure out how to pay off $30,000 and figuring on wagering her life and betting her life, her physical life and safety, just so she can pay her student loans. If that's not the definition of a mistake, I don't know what is. You need to own a business, not get a job. You need to be in control of the capital, not getting a paycheck. And you need to be gaining power, wealth, and influence through what you own and what you control and what you're passing down. That's a business. You can go get all the jobs you want, Michaela. I don't care how much they pay you. Do you own your job?
No.
Do you control your job?
Mm-mm.
Can you pass your job down to your children?
Nope.
So that job isn't really the path to power, wealth, and influence. You don't own it. You don't control it. It can be taken from you at any time. And even if it couldn't, you can't pass it down to your children. So what can you do with it? All you can do is work for somebody else. Now, I've given you the tools. Now you know what the goal is. The only thing I cannot give you is your path to get there. That's something you have to make on your own. I hope you will become a regular listener here, because we discuss this kind of thing often, and you need to be around people who are going where you're trying to go.
Is nobody.
Well, now you have somebody's. We are the black community today. Even if it's just a cyber community, we are the black community today. And you need to be around people like yourself. Are you friends with me on Facebook or follow me on Twitter?
On Facebook, I'm friends.
Okay. Send me a message then so I'll know who you are, okay? When you get off this phone, send me a message and send me a private message and just say, "Hi, I'm Michaela." That way I will know who you are.
Okay.
Because I've got thousands of friends, so-called friends, on my friends list, but there are only a few dozen who are actually serious about doing something. And as young as you are at a point where you're still malleable. Hopefully that stiff-neckedness isn't too ingrained in you, and you're at a point where we can still help you, where being around us can still be a positive influence. You're not too far gone just yet. And you need people around you who understand what you're going through and where you're going, and actually can help you with that. And if you have other questions, let us know. Even if I don't have the answer myself, I can find somebody who does for you. Even if I don't have it.
Okay, I really appreciate that.
You take care, sister.
All right, you do the same.
21 years old, Mona. They're 21 years old, and their parents have not prepared them. But they've sent them out into the world, but they haven't prepared them.
Prepared them to get out of their house.
Yeah, get out my house so that I can get back to finishing up my teenage years. That's why you see all these grown women twerking on the internet. They haven't grown up mentally or emotionally. They just want you out of the house so that they can get back to getting men running in and out of it. They don't want to raise their children. And we see the results. Now, because I am a forgiving soul around here, I can be a nice guy about things. Now, we have a caller on the line from 773 who called in yesterday. I'm just curious why he's calling back in today. You're on now. Did we scare you? Well, he was very anxious to talk to Mona before, but I think he's asleep.
Huh.
Yeah, yes, he's snoring. No, if you listen, you can hear him.
Yeah, I hear him.
Now, this was the guy who was calling you a hood rat and everything else last week. This guy right here. And he's on my phone snoring. I just want people to witness the caliber of the type of person who has dumb things to say when they speak to us on the Black Channel. I just want people to witness that for themselves. You can hear him. Yeah. That's the kind of guy who was talking garbage about you. I'm so unimpressed, I can't tell you. Caller from the 260, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hi.
What's your name? Where you calling
Hello?
from?
My name is Charmaine, and I'm calling from Fort Wayne,
Okay.
Indiana.
And what's on your mind, sister?
Well, I wanted to get back to the issue about contributing to the black agenda or just the black community.
All right.
To
Go ahead, sister. You're on. Go ahead. Okay. She got dropped there. Wow. I guess white supremacy grabbed her. She was in Indiana, and she was on the phone, and everything was okay for a moment there, and she said, I just want to talk about this. I guess the Klan came through the door and said, not tonight. So, sister, if you're okay, just let us know. Do a hand signal or something. Just walk into Walmart and do the black fist and say black power or something. So just let us know that you're all right. This, ladies and gentlemen, is why we call this the most dangerous broadcast on earth, because it's not a question of whether or not I'll make it to the end. It's a question of whether or not you may make it to the end, because you might not make it to the end of the broadcast. You might fall asleep. Your sleep apnea might catch up with you. Or white supremacy might. We'll do what we can for you. Caller from the 786, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Black first.
Black first, brother. Please take your phone off speaker.
Hold on. I'm not on speaker.
Well, you might want to get closer to it. It sounds like you got it held out at arm's length from you. I know sometimes people might have a broken arm and they're holding it in a cast or whatever, but what's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, that's Lonnie from Miami.
Lonnie from Miami. Always good to hear from you, brother. What's on your mind?
Oh, yeah. I just listening, and it's good to hear you on the air another night. That thing that's going on out there in California, that's terrible. I mean, I read what you had posted about it, and just to take in that you can put out information, and then listening to the caller from last night from England, it's ridiculous. We can't keep doing this. And we're supposed to build with those type of people. And this is the majority of the black community. That's insane. And we're not even doing nothing. 7% of an entire state is black. California used to be, that just used to be a lot of black people. That's where all the black Afrocentric movies came from, was California. And now we just 7% there? And then I look around here in South Florida, and it's insane. And nobody wants to even take this information or listen to somebody. It's heart-clenching. And it goes back when I had said about the building something and you having to go outside the black community to do it. Why don't these people understand that that's why they don't come back to the black community to help? We won't even lift up anybody, and then we wonder why we're going through so much with them not wanting to come back and help. We're finding people in their hole, and then when they're getting out on their own and they're just turning their backs, you can't really argue with them not turning their backs on who's keeping them in the hole. And that's just ridiculously insane. I can't really say any. I'm too. I listened to the other three broadcasts today. I got the chance to, and my heart is hurting. Just listening to those people, it's ridiculous.
That wasn't just in America that you were talking about. That was around the world.
Yeah.
If you want to know why everywhere you go in the world black people are poor, it's because, as we heard yesterday, we have an endemic and at this point pandemic mindset of poverty. This is why, as I've always said, and as the immortal John Henrik Clarke stated, you cannot have a black and brown coalition or a black and Asian coalition. You can't have that. You can't have it, because the only way that you can have a coalition is if you have the power to punish members of the coalition who break the coalition. And someone tell me, what power do black people have over Asians today? What power do we have? Tell me, what could we do to punish them if they vote Republican against us? What do we do to punish them?
We don't even have the power to punish the people the black people who are in power. We can't even do anything to Barack Obama. He ran on helping the black community. Well, that's what they said that he was going to do. And he hasn't done anything in 5 years. Over 5 years, nothing. And we don't even have the power to go and do something to him. We don't even have the power to do things to county commissioners or city commissioners right in our own neighborhood who are supposed to live in our neighborhood. We can't even do that. We don't have any power. No power, no respect, no nothing. And then anybody who wants to try to build anything or try to get some structure to this is all of a sudden they're the enemy. You're wrong. You're bad. Well, how are we supposed to get any power to punish somebody who's not black when we don't even have the power to punish people who are black? We can't do anything. We're just sitting here, wake up, go to work if you work. And if you're not sleeping in some woman's bed, or if you don't have 4 or 5 kids by 6 or 7 different men, then it's okay. That's okay. But if you talk about people actually getting up and doing something and in a constructive way, building power so that that's not mess with them. We're not even 9% of California is Asian. Well, when you look up, and there are tiny percentage of the national population, but people were surprised that they actually did a raid in a China community. Yes, that's just how powerful they had gotten, and it was a surprise that it was even done. And they're not a lot of people. Just a small percentage of people, but everybody wants to stick their heads in the sand because we haven't risen up enough to stick our head in the clouds. And with no power to do anything. Somebody shoot a kid in the street, and we can't even do anything about it. They can kill us, and we don't have the power to do anything. But buy shoes. If I have enough shoes and clothes, and if I got rims on my 1986 Toyota, then I'm good. Everything's okay. But if somebody want to knock that chip off your shoulder, which is not even a chip at this point. It's just a mark. We think that it's a chip. We done made this whole big thing like we're so grand and we move so good and everything with us is so excellent. There are no positives. Everybody say you keep focusing on the negative, focus on the positive. What are the positives?
That's a very good question. I mean, we like to have a dream world where we fabricate positives. Black people sit up here and say that, remember, because we had a caller, getting out of bed was a positive. That was getting out of bed was a positive. So now we have elevated getting out of bed to being an accomplishment. The bar is getting lower and lower and lower. And instead of us sitting up here saying that, we're going to do what's necessary to raise the standard, we are instead sitting up here and saying, okay, we're not going to raise the standard anymore. We don't want to do that. We're not interested in that anymore. We just keep dropping that bar, and our children are the ones who are suffering for that because we should be raising our standards. The Asians are raising theirs. What standard are we raising?
Raising none to value shoes. People are buying 5-year-old Jordans. And my first pair of name brand shoes came when I was in high school. And they're buying kids who go into daycare Jordans and Reeboks and everything. And we just insane. I think we've just gone upside down and backwards and are okay with living like that. As long we're okay with being under somebody else's thumb just because it's easier. We don't have to get up. Like getting out of bed is not an accomplishment. Getting a part-time job where I did something, like that's not anything. You didn't do anything.
or I feel good about myself. I've got my spirituality. That's an accomplishment. I have failed in the capitalist system, so I am now going to say that I'm just super spiritually groovy. I transcend the capitalistic system now. That's what they say now. That's what you do when you fail at it. You find religion and say, well, capitalism doesn't matter. I'm focusing on my pie in the sky and my heaven in the hereafter. That's what we do.
They'll make anything out of their own positive. Anything that they can make into their own positive, just so they can have a positive to look at. If I go to church every Sunday, that's a positive. 3 kids getting into Ivy League schools was nothing. 3 kids? Wow. Why? Tell me when it's 300 or 400. Tell me when it's 3,000 or 4,000 kids getting into those schools.
Well, not just that. If getting into school gave us power, wealth, and influence, I'd be a lot more concerned. Getting into school does not get power, wealth, and influence. And that's a problem. Zuckerberg ran out of Harvard. Bill Gates dropped out of school. They got power, wealth, and influence to burn today. So the number of students that we push into these universities is not giving us power, wealth, and influence. What those students are able to do when they leave those universities, that is what gains the power, wealth, and influence. And I would be okay if we had a 1% college acceptance rate if we were also in control of the power, wealth, and influence. And right now, the Asians on the track that they're going, they won't even need college very soon. They are going to control so much power, wealth, and influence that college is just going to be a formality. I'll let you have the last word, brother.
Oh, man. Well, black first, and let's build up some power, wealth, and influence so that we can actually punish people for not doing what they're saying. We can actually control politics in our own neighborhoods and stop all this mess and find a way to get rid of all these idiots running around. Black first, brother.
Black first, brother. Thank you very much for checking in with us here. Mona, do you know any really super groovy religious people?
Any super? Repeat that.
Do you know any people who are really Jesus freaks? Every time you turn around, it's yes, Lord, and have mercy, and they're standing in the checkout line at the convenience store and humming to Jesus and things like that. Do you know any people like that?
Yes, I do.
And I wonder, what do we have to show for all this? I don't need money. I'm super religious. Can someone please tell us where our prosperity is? People are using this talking about religion as a way to opt out of any conversation about economics and how destitute we are. That's what they're using it for.
They'll tell you that prosperity is not always money. They'll tell you that, God is going to come. He may not come today, but he's going to be right on time. We're waiting for ours in the sky. It's going to be better for us when we're dead.
Now, for those of you who are new to this broadcast, you are tuned in to the blackchannel.net radio. It is unlike anything else out there because we talk about things in depth with a mastery and an authority that nobody else does. My name is Jason Black, also known as the Black Authority because that's what I am. And while we talk about a number of different subjects, we primarily talk about black socioeconomics because that is the key to everything. What we own, what we control, money, and our lack of it is at the root of most of the problems that we're encountering. You've been lied to. Most of you have been lied to all your lives. You've been told that you didn't need money. You've been told by your parents that how religious you were was the most important thing. You've been sold a fraud. You've been sold a fraudulent item. This is the place where we try to dispel those myths. This idea that you as a human being living in a human world cannot focus on money but focus on a spiritual world when you are a resident of a human physical one. I'm telling you that your parents did that because your parents failed. I didn't say you have to take a baseball bat and beat up your mom and dad. I didn't say that, but at least have the courage to accept that they failed. They failed to prepare you for the physical, financial, monetary world that they were sending you out into. And unless you want to be responsible of the same crime of sending your children out into this physical, capitalistic world with no goods, no tools, no resources, and no chance, then it's time for you to start wising up and smartening up. And this is the only place that does that. I got a bunch of calls on the line right now from 480-219-585-832 and everybody else on the line here. Just hold on for a moment because I've got somebody else on the line I want to try to get on here first. Now, this is caller from 478, and you had a lot to say in my chat room, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to say it now. Now, if this is the real brother, you can go ahead and hang up the phone now.
All right, am I on? I'm on?
I'm on. Yes, you is on.
Am I on?
Okay.
I'm sorry. I said, am I on? I'm a little nervous. First time calling in.
Okay, what is your name?
Oh, my name is Robert.
Hello, Robert. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Georgia.
Okay. Now, you made a statement that I think needs to be clarified so that we can make sure that everybody understands what you mean. Even though we can read what you said, we're going to give you an opportunity to backtrack now.
All right, backtrack. I don't do it. Okay, go ahead. All right.
We're listening.
What I said online, what I had said, I said that black people, we need better business instead of quantity. Like, everybody don't need to start a grocery store. If the only thing you're going to sell in the grocery store are products that are made by white-owned companies, okay? Can you agree with me on that?
No, that's stupid and foolish, and that's stupid, foolish, and irrelevant. Whoa. Do not talk over me.
Okay, go ahead.
You asked me a question.
Okay,
you were raised by a single mother, and a not very quiet one either.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't.
Robert.
No, my mom wasn't.
Robert?
She was a strong black woman.
Yeah, she was a strong black woman. Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. Yes. Yeah. Strong and loud. Yes. Yeah, the point is you're a fool, as Unicron said.
Okay.
You just sat here and said that, well, my store, what's the point of setting up a store if we're only going to sell white-owned products? That's as stupid as saying, what's the point of setting up a Walmart if we're only going to sell Chinese products?
Nope. Walmart actually is a white-owned store that sells white-owned products. No, I said it's better to start quality.
Excuse me. No, you're not going to get away with that lie. You are not going to lie here on my broadcast. Walmart sells Chinese products. Walmart sells Chinese products. It clearly says made in China. They sell Chinese products.
Do they not sell Kellogg's cornflakes? Do they not sell Jimmy Dean products? Do they not sell, I don't know, we can go down the list.
No, you can go down the aisles of the grocery store. Why don't you go Why don't you go to the electronics section? Okay, Robert, Robert, you're about to get yourself banned. You don't talk over me because you're wrong, and you can keep talking, but being wrong doesn't make you. Your ability to keep talking does not turn your ignorance into correctness. You're wrong. You can walk down the grocery aisle at Walmart all you want to. That's not where Walmart makes most of its money. Why don't you talk about the electronics section, Robert? Can we talk about the electronics section?
Yes, we can.
Okay, tell me the American-made products in the electronics section.
Okay, but who invested in those?
Whoa, I just asked you the question. Robert, you're about to get banned, Robert. Answer my question. Tell me the American companies in the electronics section.
Well, we can say, I mean, it's a lot. I haven't really
okay, name them.
You go down the
name 4 of them.
I know Sony and Samsung is owned by Korean and Japanese, but they are investors is white Americans.
Their investors are white Americans.
Investors are white Americans.
Robert,
the white man built Japan.
The white man built Japan. Robert, have you ever heard of the term Zaibatsu? Robert, have you ever heard of the term Zaibatsu?
No. But
No, you haven't, Robert. No, you haven't. But you just tried to sit here and talk like you know what you're talking about. Robert, listen to me very carefully.
Go ahead.
Robert, listen to me very carefully, okay? I've asked you several times now. Do not talk when I'm talking.
Okay.
You were raised by a loud black harpy, and you act like one. And that's not what is a harpy. What is a harpy?
Yes, I'm born in. I'm 21.
What is a harpy?
I don't know, though.
Okay, Robert, you're a 21-year-old male, and you act more trick-made than the 21-year-old female I just got off the phone with. What does that tell you about yourself?
Okay.
What does that tell you? She was more quiet. She was more quiet and learning than you were, and then you wonder why black females are kicking black males' asses socioeconomically. Robert, you don't have a point. You don't have a point. You have been told several times now to be quiet. You've just made a fool of yourself in front of hundreds of people. You just made an idiot of yourself. He just sat here and said that Walmart doesn't make its money off China, that it doesn't matter. His argument is Jimmy Dean sausages. That's Robert's argument, is Jimmy Dean. Now, I'm going to show you what a little power looks like. Johnny, you already know what to do. Jimmy Dean sausages. When we asked him to tell us about the electronics section, he didn't want to list anything. Not because he doesn't know. And when he did, he said Sony and Samsung. Will someone please tell me the Americans who run Sony and Samsung? Because he just said if they're not American products. Well, those are not American products. Walmart has its shelves stocked from the electric toothbrushes to the physical toothbrushes to the razor blades to the TVs to the kitchenware, hell, to the towels and the pillows. I forget what the name of that company is that they got there that makes the towels and the pillows that they get all their stuff from. They got a blue and white logo. I forget their name off the top of my head. And he just sat here and told you that that doesn't matter. Walmart can play by these rules and the rest of us can't. But that doesn't matter. His argument to Samsung and Sony is Jimmy Dean sausages. 21 years old. And you wonder why Michaela was on my phone here talking about I can't find a black man in my age group. He's a 21-year-old black male. She's a 21-year-old black female. And he is absolutely trick-made. Yelling and screaming like worse than a girl because she was a girl and she has more discipline. More discipline, more temperament, and oh yeah, by the way, more intelligence than he does. But boy, he's going to keep running his mouth. 21 years old, Mona. And he's going to be here in a couple... He's one of them guys who's going to be posting up about big booty white females and black women not cooperating, and that he's going to get him a white girl. What white female is going to take such an ignoramus into her home? That's your young black manhood today, Mona. That's our young black manhood.
Yes. They don't want to listen. They want to challenge you at every turn. They think you know it. They know it all. They think we're old and we're outdated. And we haven't experienced life and we don't see things. They want to phase us out. And they think they know everything.
Well,
they don't listen.
It's not so much. I don't think it's so much about thinking they know everything. It's that they were raised in a household with a bastard baby maker who told their sons that you don't let nobody push you around. And what that means is that when you adopt a position, even if your position is embarrassingly wrong, he was embarrassingly wrong. He just humiliated himself right here in front of thousands of people. And yet he stuck by his position, even though he's blatantly wrong. He's not going to let anybody push him around, even though he looks like a fool. But he had no problem doing it. Looking like a fool. A black male Will someone please explain to me, with Robert's absolute lack of knowledge and total ignorance, somebody explain to me, how is that young boy going to lead a black female anywhere worthwhile? Somebody explain that to me. Explain to me that he can't even admit that he was wrong. When I raised the example of Walmart, that was the time for him to say, oh, yeah, okay, well, okay, you got a point there, man. You're right. Yeah, you're right. That's it right there. Yeah. I need to rethink that. He didn't do that. He instead said, well, that doesn't matter because look at the white men who set up Samsung. Look at the white people who invest in it. In other words, look at the white people who you were able to get your money from, as if that matters in who owns the company. So by not only is he now saying that that Walmart is not a white, he's saying that Walmart is not a white owned company because they sell products. You know, he's saying that Walmart is a white owned company strictly on the strength of the grocery section, but that the electronics section and hardware and the cosmetic section do not disqualify Walmart. But it does disqualify you, Mona, and it disqualifies my business. It disqualifies everybody else. But it doesn't disqualify Walmart. This type of ignorant, stubborn reasoning where you're determined that you're just going to make yourself right. And when you've been proven wrong, you will not say, I was wrong. That's what leaders do. Leaders admit that they were wrong. And then they correct course quickly. They correct course very quickly. They don't just sit there and keep saying, I was right. This is how, like I told to Michaela, that's how you end up with 4 bastard babies by 4 different men talking about, I'm a black queen. I've got 4 bastard kids by 4 men, but I'm a black queen. And that's why he sat there and told us I was raised by a strong black woman. He doesn't know what a harpy is, but he's going to educate us on what Samsung is. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen around the world, you heard him when he said it. What is a harpy? He doesn't know what a harpy is, but he's going to educate all of us on what Samsung and Sony's economic structure. He's going to teach us about capitalism, but he doesn't know what a harpy is. That's your young black manhood today. If you want to know why I rail against single motherhood like I do, you just heard it on this phone. Caller from the 585, you're on live with the Black Channel. Caller from 585, you're playing on my phone. When people play on the phone, I think they've been abducted. If I think they've been abducted, then I see if I can find them some help. Last try, caller from 585, you're holding the phone. You're on live with the Black Channel.
Just listening.
Okay, stop doing the mollies and just say you're listening, okay? That black manhood is hell tonight, Mona. I'm telling you, they are hell tonight. Just so we can find out here. Mr. Live on the line. You're on live with the Black Channel. I wonder why we call ourselves live. We have another breather? No, they're not asleep. Are you touching yourself inappropriately? Sometimes that happens. I can hear live on the phone, and they're kind of doing this little moaning thing, so I don't know. I hate it when that happens. I thought that only happened to females, Mona. I didn't know that happens to men, too.
Oh.
I'm just saying. These are our grown people here. This is, if you want to know why the Asians are whipping your asses in California, what's happening on the phone lines tonight when we talk to people, does that explain it to anybody? One young fellow wants to tell you that Walmart is a white corporation, even though he told you that if you sell products not made by your people, that you're not, what's the point good of doing it? Well, Walmart showed it work. Yeah, but we're going to count the grocery section only, not the rest of the store. Can we just count the grocery aisle? You're on live with the Black Channel. I can't answer right now. I'm doing my mollies. Okay. Caller from 480, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hey, how's it going, BA? This is Chris in Phoenix from Detroit. Hey, how's it going, Mona?
Good evening.
Hey, Jason, I was calling, man. I really don't think you're putting the proper value on turkey bacon versus Sony PlayStation.
Oh, absolutely. I of course, that was the next thing, because he knew that's where I was going next, which is why he wanted to try to downplay it. But of course, we all know the tremendous profit margins on a box of Pop-Tarts. We all know that. Because if I had a store, of course, I would want to sell. Of course, I would. That's why, of course, Kroger's, for those of you who know what Kroger's is, Kroger's and Albertsons are the largest and richest corporations in America, right? Because we all know we all know the grocery stores in America just run the yard, man. We know they just run the yard. And that's why Walmart started out selling groceries. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, that's not quite right. Walmart did not start out selling groceries, did they? They started out selling clothes and then moving into electronics and hardware. And the final thing that the last thing that Walmart added on in their stores, except for those little kiosk things now, we're not counting the money store and stuff. The last major profit leader that they have is the grocery section. And by the way, when they're doing Black Friday, will someone please tell me all the grocery deals that they offer on Black Friday? Just somebody let me know. Somebody remind me real quick. Tell me the deep discounts on fish fry that they offer at Walmart on Black Friday. Just so I can be aware, because he named off General Mills. Can somebody remind me how much they marked down the honeycombs and the cookie crisp on Black Friday? I just want to know. Because here in Shreveport, they were open on Thanksgiving. And they had like 25 city marshals at the one Walmart I drove by. You should have seen all the SUVs and Dodge Chargers they had there. They're making great use of our tax dollars. But I actually had seen them, and I was like, I wonder how. I didn't see anybody walking out with a buggy full of, wieners and cheese. I didn't see that. So maybe he saw something that the rest of us are just not seeing. I don't know.
Man, Jason, he made my night. I mean, I got to get ready for this maintenance window from 10 to 6 out here in Phoenix to integrate this tower. But I'm telling you, like, that tickled me so bad. I mean, his logic was, and the fact that he just would not listen to reason. I mean, he has no idea that Walmart threw in groceries for the hell of it. I mean, it's crazy. But I want to speak on the brother before him, the one that was in Miami. I wanted to say that, his outrage, his frustration was very authentic. And, it touched me because I feel the same way, how we just readily accept ignorance. And the brother whose whole argument was, basically turkey bacon over Xbox, it's just crazy. But I just wanted to come in, I mean, it was just hilarious, man. I got to get ready for this maintenance window, man. Black first.
Black first, brother. Thank you very much for checking in with us here. I probably should have gotten to your call first, as a matter of fact. I was wasting time with him. I should have gotten to your call first. Caller from the 219, you're on live with the Black Channel.
Hello. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I'm actually the caller from 260 earlier, and my cordless phone had burnt out on me.
That must be one of those American cordless phones from Walmart. Wait a minute. No. Okay. Never mind. I'm lost. What? Because at first I thought you had been abducted. I was like, wow, she was there 1 minute, and then I was like, I was having flashbacks of the NSA jumping out of their van. So I'm glad we got you back with us. What's on your mind?
I feel like I've been abducted in general, but where did I get cut off at? I was just talking, and then I said hello, and then I noticed that you guys wasn't on there anymore.
Ma'am, you got cut off after you said where you were. You got cut off right then, so I don't know how much you think we heard. We didn't hear anything.
Mona, do you remember where I got cut off at?
Whoa.
You got cut off with.
Hold on a second.
You were about to say what your problem was.
Yeah, hold on a second here. Whoa. Slow down. What's your name, ma'am?
Huh?
What's your name?
Charmaine.
Hello, Charmaine. Are you on my friends list?
No.
Okay.
I got
Charmaine.
Connected to your stream.
Okay,
go ahead.
Charmaine. I want to ask something here because what you did was just very, very odd right now. I told you that we didn't hear anything after you said where you were, and then you said, well, Mona, did you hear something? So what was it about me saying it that you didn't find acceptable or whatever the case may be? Why come when I said it, you didn't find that acceptable?
I didn't hear you.
You didn't hear me?
I could barely hear you, no.
Okay, well, maybe you're having problems on your...
I didn't want to sound like I was deaf.
Okay, maybe you're having problems with your cell phone then. Mona, are you hearing me okay?
Yes, I am.
Okay, well, maybe you're having problems with your cell... Maybe you're having problems with your cell phone, too.
Yeah. But I'm from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Is that what you asked me? I left off where you said, where was I?
Yeah, you said you were from Indiana before. We got that, and then your call dropped.
Oh. Dang, I thought you guys heard way more than that.
Okay, sister, let me go ahead and get you to get to your point, please.
Okay. Well, I was going back to the issue with the contribution to the black community. And I was stating that that was my major goal, and I have a slight advantage that I could stay home. I don't have to work or anything, and so I took advantage of that. And I spent 2 years working on my business, which is a home health care agency where nurses and or therapists will go out to a client's home to take care of whatever their needs are. And I was doing that to, once I gain revenue, to just become an entrepreneur and continue to create more businesses for the black community. And that was pretty much it. But I said what happened was my first plan was to become a nurse practitioner, and my situation to where I had mostly grants for school, so I didn't have to take on any loans, so I was going to take advantage of that and save money to do just that, and just promote that, or actually implement the power, wealth, and influence.
Okay, now, do you actually have your business now, or are you still trying to work on that?
Well, I'm still working on it. I have recently went into my own bank, and they said they don't do commercial loans, and but the situation with the money. So I was going that route. And my bank said that they don't do commercial loans, and then I went to another bank, and they said that my issue is that I don't have collateral. And so I was like, well, what's the purpose of the Small Business Administration? And they saying that they have special loan programs for women. Women who want to start the business, or for even minorities, and it seems like it's just the system really isn't for for us, like like they say they are.
Okay. Let me find out a couple of questions
Go
here.
Go ahead.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Okay, you're 31 years old.
Mhm.
Now, I'll explain a few things for you here and for everybody else who's out there listening and whatnot, because you need to understand what the problems were that she ran into here. Black people, as a result of our choosing to be the poorest, most destitute, and impoverished people in the world, who basically want to twerk and have sex and buy shoes and never master the financial reality that we live in. As a result, we hear things, but we don't actually understand the things we've heard. Now, you said I went to my bank to get a loan. Well, they wouldn't give me one.
Right.
Then I asked them for a commercial loan. Well, one bank says we don't do commercial loans. Another bank said, well, we do, but we need to see your collateral. Then you said, and what's the point of the Small Business Administration if they're not going to loan the small businesses? And didn't they say that they give deal? You said they deal with minorities and whatnot. Now, let me just explain to you exactly what that is, okay? Because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions as far as what these institutions are and what they do, and
Exactly.
as far as what you were asking for, because black people tend to treat these things as a social agency. Like going to the bank is like talking to our welfare worker or like talking to a teacher, and that it's our job to get them to like us, and if we can get them to like us personally, then that is what gets a loan. And we need to understand that these people are running a business. They do not base any decision based on congeniality. They already have a set criterion etched in stone. Let me say that one more time. It's a set criterion etched in stone that says what are the qualifications that you have to do business with us. Notice I didn't say get a loan. I said to do business with us. You have to have a set qualifications that you have to meet before we will even talk to you any further. They are not a social service agency. You don't call them because you're behind on your bills. You don't call them to get a loan the way that you call the church because you can't make your rent payment. They deal in business.
That's understandable.
They deal in business only, and every decision that they make will be based on that alone.